Hey!
Is he your friend?
No, not yet.
Really? I hope you can get along with him.
Thanks. See ya.
𝐒𝐻𝐚, was machst du?
Ich werde in Zukunft mit ihm auskommen.
Ach so.
𝐒𝐡𝐚!
𝐒𝐻𝐚!
𝐒𝐡𝐚!
Bro love for sure. Man, we're witnessing something really special. Like, this episode, for the most part, was centered around Yuki, but didn't feature her whatsoever. This was just about Oushi-kun and 𝐒𝐡𝐚, or 𝐜𝐴Tsumi. 𝐜𝐴Tsumi is his name. And just these two, and it was just so powerful and so short. And it felt like when it ended, I was like, holy crap, it ended already. And one of the things I think is so powerful with really great writing in anime, and you know you're witnessing it when they do this really well, is when they can sway it away from the core storyline or the core characters, and it's still as special or as powerful as when they're focusing on the main crux, main character, main point of the show. Another show that did this really well is 𝐻oRoMia. And although there were episodes that were featuring Hori or 𝐻oRoMia, I think his name was 𝐻oRoMia, whether they were featuring one of them with other characters, the show never was worse for it. And that's what we're experiencing here, is like, this episode was so powerful for a lot of different facets, right? Like from breaking down barriers and how friendships start, and how you can hate somebody without knowing anything about them, and how important it is to how you react to somebody else. And I'm going to go on a bunch of different tangents here, but I could just feel how much care went into the writing and how much internal experiences went onto paper. And I just think that's just so cool. And, this episode's all it was focused around how Oushi basically fell in love with Yuki and what motivated him to, learn sign, and motivated him to, be proficient at it and learn it quick. And I think it was so cool how he described it as, although he doesn't verbalize that he's in love, he fell in love, and he described it as having his own special secret code with somebody, and like having his own little bubble, and something that like is not easily experienced by other people. And I just think that that's just a really cool way to think about it. Now, kind of to his demise, because over the years, he's been presented, or I'm sure he's had opportunities, because, he didn't get Yuki's like telephone number until recent in this anime, till college. But I'm sure tons of opportunities presented either through his own facets or through his sister were presented to confess or to hang out more, to get closer to Yuki. He didn't do that, and obviously it's just not in his personality to. And those kinds of people, although I can't completely understand, because my personality is nowhere near that. But I can definitely try and empathize with that. There's folks out there who can't express themselves, and be honest with themselves. I understand that. And for him, it looks like he's very much somebody who can express themselves to the people, like, like his best friend, like the girl who's obviously in love with him. Like, he can easily express himself to folks like that, because it doesn't really impact him. At least he thinks it doesn't. But to ones that can, like Yuki, who he's in love with, he's like, he just pumps the brakes. So I love seeing that. And I love being able to experience the way that others, kind of like go through their life, or the way that they think, or, multiple facets of the way that they're able to view certain things and stuff. I think it's really, really cool. Now, taking a step back, I really love how 𝐒𝐡sumi really kind of tackled this thing that he knew that he was going to have to tackle. And he had to be very, I guess you could say, cautious, because this is somebody who I think Yuki generally does view as a friend, and he knew that he was going to have to tackle this. But because of his kind of personality, you could tell that he's kind of the person who likes to break barriers. And obviously he's put himself out there with the cultural club at college and trying to break down barriers to visit other countries and stuff. And Yuki's her own barrier as it is. But he's generally somebody who likes peace versus war. And those kind of folks are not dangerous, but those are the type of people who you can't really like hate, or you just have, or maybe you do hate them, and because you can't really bring yourself to, you kind of have to distance yourself. But I like how Itsumi was able to break down his barriers of like, oh, he even said like, oh, I thought this was going to be more complicated than it was, but it was pretty easy to kind of break through the defense that Oushi had put in. And he kind of called him out a couple of times of like, I understand that you're in love with Yuki. And I love his explanation, his expressive love, essentially, where he kind of says, and I feel this way, in my life about my wife. It's like, in the universe, no matter the time, the place, or when, like when you're destined, you're destined. And it sounds hokey and it sounds, cheesy and stuff, but it's one of those things I do kind of believe it. It's like, and I think Itsumi explained it in a way is like, I'm so thankful that, Yuki came to college because that's how she made her way to me. But even if she didn't, whether it be years from now, I would have found her, or she would have found me. And it would start from there. Or, like I'm a firm believer in things that are meant to be as they're meant to be. But I love the way that Itsumi was able to break down barriers of Oushi. I like how this episode was able to focus on things outside of Yuki. And I look forward to seeing, Oushi kind of have to move on and what that means. And hopefully he looks back at this and, thinks of somebody who was so important that really changed his life in a really positive manner, with having to learn sign and everything else that came with it. And hopefully the lesson that he takes away from this is to try and be closer to Yuki from a friendship standpoint. And hopefully this makes him realize, the way his one-sided love was, that there's somebody else in his life with a one-sided love too. And maybe what's meant to be for him isn't what he wanted, but it could be what he needs. And that could be the person that's closest to him, which I think he would benefit from a lot, that kind of support system. And I think that would better his life. And I think that would be really cool for him to become friends with Yuki and with Itsumi. Anyways, though, I appreciate you guys watching this video. This episode was awesome. I can't wait to see more of A Sign of Affection. And I'll see you guys next week for episode 11 as we finish off the winter season. Peace, my friends.